And we are back. I shouldn't say back because this is our first time binging with Brice. I'm super excited to start this new segment, Binging with Brice, more on the scripted side of RHAP. If you are like me that has a busy schedule, you're working, you might be on Bryson wins Tour 48. You've got personal lives, you hang out with your friends. When these new shows come out, you just don't have time to watch them live. And so I was talking with Josh Wigler, and he said, Baby boy, you should do a binge with Brice. Whenever you get to a show, and you binge it, you need to tell the world about it. And so that's what we are starting on this celebration of Brice this week on RHAP. I'm kicking off one of my new segments, Binging with Brice. And I'm super excited to have one of my co hosts here with me, who happens to be one of my best friends in the whole wide world. We've been friends for over 25 plus years. I don't like to go much higher than 25 because I am only 26. So we were friends when I was 1 year old. I love to welcome to the podcast Miss Dara Andrea. Hello.
Hey. I'm
How
happy
are
to be here.
Yes. How are you doing? How does it feel to be podcasting with me?
I feel good, a little nervous. This is my first time ever doing a little podcast with you, but excited nonetheless. So, yeah.
Yes. Well, a lot of the shows that I watch that are not normally in my wheelhouse, I always get the recommendation from my best friend Dara. She is a connoisseuress. I don't even know if that's a word, but she is a connoisseuress of shows. This woman is constantly watching shows. She constantly is watching something that I would never ever watch,
I
but
do
she
have a
gets
life, though. I do have a life. I watch
okay.
shows, but I do have a life. You kind of make it seem like I'm just
Right.
sitting in front of the TV, just watching. I
Well,
do have my binge moments, but just so everyone knows, I do have a life outside of binge watching.
okay. Well, she is a mother.
That part.
She is the mother of my two godchildren. Shout out to Peyton and Moreland. She does have a career. She does have a husband. She does have a home. So,
Thank
yes,
you.
she does have a life. However, it seems like when I call or when I FaceTime, the room is dark, the TV is on, and her husband is next to her, and they are watching a show. Is that a lie or not a lie?
That is not a lie. That is true. That's how we decompress.
Okay, listen, in this world today with everything going on, Dara, I really do think it is important that like you find what makes you decompress outside of watching the news because
Hmm.
whew, it's a
Yeah,
lot going on in this world. So no, I'm not mad at that at all.
it
But
is.
I say all of that to say you are constantly watching different things. And I am like, girl, what is you watching? But I will say this: there has not been a show that you have told me to watch that I have not gotten into or that I have not loved. You put me onto the show from
One of my faves.
okay, I think season 2 was getting ready to come out, and you was like, "You should really watch season 1. It's really good." Boom. I will be honest. Dara put me on to Game of Thrones back in the day. I think it was like season 3 was getting ready to start up, and you was like, "You need to watch Game of Thrones. You will love it." I got into Game of Thrones.
Hmm.
A lot of different things. But tell us about your appetite for shows. What type of shows do you like? What decompresses Dara?
I like everything. That's the thing. I like if it's a good storyline, good characters, I can get into it. I love period pieces though. That's like one of my favorite things to watch. I don't know why. I just do. Um, but yeah, pretty much a little bit of everything. I like sci-fi, I like horror, pretty much everything. Like a good plot, good characters, and I'm hooked. I'm a sucker for a good love story, so I love all the cheesy romance shows, all of that type of stuff. So I just really get into the storyline and the different characters. So yeah.
Yeah. My love of period pieces, I feel like I get from Dara. I can remember being in like 10th grade, we coming home from school. I go up to Dara's room and Dara will put on a period piece movie. And I remember like, girl, this is not what I signed up for. And by the end of it, I would really get into it. And so she's not lying. I think one of the last period pieces that we both agreed on that she didn't necessarily put me on, because Dara doesn't put me on to everything I watch. But what is that show that's on HBO Max? It's like the name of the period. It's called you know what it's called, and it's about them building up New York.
Yeah, I
What is the
can't think
name?
of it right now, the name of it, but
But
I know exactly what you're talking about. Because what is it? 2 seasons of that show. Oh
I
God, that's gonna just irk my life right now.
It was The Gilded Age. The
Right, the Gilded
Gilded
Age.
Age was one of our shows, and we're still waiting, I believe, for season 3 to come back out. So what's up with The
Hmm.
Gilded Age? What was another one of our shows? And I think it came on like the History Channel or A&E.
Are you talking about like a fighting show, like the Vikings?
Yup, the Vikings.
Yes,
Okay,
I love the Vikings. One of my
Rag
favorite favorites.
Ragnar Lothbrok, Lagatha. Lagatha was my girl. Then what was their
Mm-hmm.
oldest son? Bjorn. Oh, listen.
Bjorn.
Bjorn,
Bjorn.
okay, because some of his other brothers was crazy,
That's
but Bjorn stayed loyal.
your
And
favorite
so
character.
yes, and so listen, I always am looking for a zaddy or somebody for me to love in these shows. So
Mm-hmm.
listen, I'm just trying to explain to everyone that Dara's history and knowledge of good shows you can trust. And so Dara, well, first of all, any good shows you're watching right now, currently, any good movies that you've seen?
Um, well, we just finished The Jackal. That was a really good show.
Okay.
It was about like a sniper and just him doing his things that paid snipers do. And it was pretty good. So if you had time to watch that, that was a good watch. More on like the post-apocalyptic tip, we watched Silo. That was
Mhm.
pretty good. That was 2 seasons, and so will be. I think they have a third season coming out, but that was pretty good watch if you're into that type of thing. Um, yeah, I think
Okay.
those were the last two things that we watched outside of Landman, of course.
Okay, yeah. And so randomly, I believe like the season from had ended, and I'm like, they talk about from not coming back until 2026. What are
Uh,
we going to watch? And Dara said, Landman is going on right now. I think as you know, it might have came out in November. I think that you should get into it. I read the description. I said, Dara, girl, I don't know what am I supposed to get from this? But nevertheless, I trusted Dara and I binged Landman. I caught up to the season and then I got to watch the season finale of it live. And so it actually was a really great show. And so Landman is a drama series on Paramount Plus that dives into the modern day oil industry in West Texas, created by Taylor Sheldon and Christian Wallace. The show is inspired by the Boomtown podcast and offers a narration centered around high stakes world of oil exploration and its impact on the various society. It's really the breakdown of Landman, how they like to say. So the oil industry, fracking, digging oil wells, multi-million dollar billionaire companies. I
Running
think
with
the
Cartel.
okay, the cartel is up in here.
Hmm.
Um, and so for me, Landman is interesting, right? Because I'm like, I don't know anything about oil, what's going on. However, when I'm getting into Landman, it really just makes me think of real life. It really just makes me think of me at my job. I'm a social worker. I work for an insurance company. And I really feel like I really feel like the main character on this show, Tommy Norris, right? I really feel like Landman applies to my life where I have these upper bosses that don't get in the paint, that don't get in the field, and they just constantly push things down to people like me who are the in between of the actual people in the community that I have to deal with. They put these regulations on my job, so all these things that we have to do that don't make sense. Clearly, the uppers have never had to get in the mud, have never had to deal with people in real life, and then I have to deal with the people in real life, but then I have to also make what the uppers are making us do. I have to make it make sense to these real life people's homes that I'm in. Like, can you relate to that? Like, did you get that
So
theme
you're
where
comparing your everyday to Tommy.
yes.
His okay.
Like, not obviously in the actual sense, but it feels a lot like that,
Hmm.
where it is you have these upper ups of these companies that make these decisions, make these outlines that don't make sense, but obviously
Right.
make money and make numbers. They put it down to the little people like me who then have to implement it into the community that doesn't
Hmm.
make sense to the community. And sometimes at my job, I've got to be clever and unique of how to implement this or how to get that information from the community, because if I do it the way that they're asking me to do it, it would never get done, or my participants that I serve will be like, what are you asking me? Get out my
It's
house.
just unrealistic. I think
Right.
in a lot of cases, the farther you go up, the less in touch that those people in those positions are. So I can definitely relate, definitely in my line of
Yeah.
work as well. It's like the farther you go up, the less knowledge. They're just there, just really worried about the overhead. So
Mhm.
they're not in touch with people and community. So
Yeah, and then
I
it's like the
agree.
middlemen like us, who we then have to either the people under us, or we have to then get this information and get what the upper management wants. We have to get it done, period. They don't care how it's done. And then after
Hmm.
you get it done, they only want to criticize it. So, like, that is really how Landman really, I felt like it got to me. And so I think it is a very interesting story. Does take place in Texas. So you do get the Texas theme. Okay. Shout out to us for our cowboy hats, even though this was not planned. Okay, because Dara is one of my best friends, and I'm gonna just keep it honest because I like to keep it honest on the podcast. People say I be late. Dara, Dara
I
be
am not
late.
late.
Her sense of time is off. So, we were supposed to record this podcast a couple of days ago, but nevertheless, she has showed up and we are here.
Here.
So and so that is really the brief synopsis of Landman. And I guess we can even go into a little bit deeper. So we have this big tycoon who owns a lot of the land and the oil, and they don't really care about how it gets done. They just want it done. And then you have this middleman who is the main character, Tommy, who essentially like runs the land. I say he's like the land supervisor. And so he has to handle the day to day of everything of the oil
Hmm. But
company.
one thing that's interesting about Tommy though is that he was the top man at one point. So he has that perspective. Remember, he was where Monty was, and then he lost it all. I think they said 9/11. That's when they
Mm,
lost it all. So he was there. So he has kind of like that knowledge. And I think that's why Monty, you can tell like the relationship they have, he has that like trust of him. But that's one of the reasons why I think Tommy's character is so interesting as well.
right. And so not only does Tommy have to manage this oil rig, he has to
Hmm.
manage the people. And not only the people, he has to manage the outside variables. They are in Texas in like the middle of the desert. And so there are
Hmm.
other things that come with it. And with that, outside of his family, his interpersonal relationships, there's a lot for Tommy to manage, and there's a lot of people for us to meet. And so let's kind of dive right into some of our main characters of Landman. Again, this show on Paramount Plus, season one just ended. We are still waiting to see if they are going to renew it for season two, but we will keep you posted. And so Billy Bob Thornton. He plays Tommy Norris. We've talked about Tommy a little bit, but Tommy is a divorced father of two who, like Dara said, used to run. I don't know what he used to run, but he used to be a big shot in the oil rigging. post 9/11, he lost it all, which also seems to be a big trend in this series where there are a lot of oil factories, wells around the area. A lot of them
Hmm.
are old. And so it looks like they come in and buy a lot of these oil factories, places, and kind of they make them one. But
Hmm.
Tommy definitely is the glue of the show. Everything centers around him, all of the relationships, all of the people. He is the fixer upper. Tommy says he does not drink anymore. He used to drink. Tommy don't drink, but Tommy drinks. I want to say it's like a Miller Light
Do we
because
consider beer
he doesn't consider that
drinking?
he doesn't consider that drinking, but he drinks Miller Light. He smokes about 7 packs of cigarettes a day. When I was watching the show, I was like, Dara, I just know what Tommy smells like because I just, that person, that smell of a person that just smokes cigarettes all the time. And I just know what Tommy smells like. Your thoughts on Tommy? And I like Tommy. I do think like he is the main character, and I do like Tommy.
Yeah, I like Tommy. I think it's hard not to like Tommy just because all of the hats he has to wear. He's just that guy that has to be a million things at once. And I just think you grow to love his character. So I don't know. I hope he doesn't smell like just cigarettes. I like to think maybe he has like a mature mahogany musk smell.
Now, let me,
Just because I like ill, but it makes sense.
okay. Now let me ask you a question. Does Tommy do it for you? Do you find Tommy attract? Do you find this character attractive?
So it's like no, but he has an appeal. So not for me, but I could see how he does. But that's what I'm saying. Especially if he stink, if he just smell like cigarette smoke, that's going to be a definite no. But I would like to think that he doesn't, and maybe he surprisingly smells good. And just his swag, I could see how he could do it for some. But me personally, no. Mm-mm.
Okay.
He has an appeal though.
No, he
He has a
does.
swag.
He absolutely does. Tommy has a swag and appeal.
He
It'd be
does.
a no for me, but maybe 25 years ago, maybe here. Also, I definitely do think Billy Bob Thornton is an amazing actor. He really is. He really bodies this role. I always think of what I think of Billy Bob Thornton. I always think when he was married to Angelina Jolie. Like that's what
Mm-hmm.
I think of.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know who I was telling this to. I might have been telling this to you. I feel like in the black community, we have, and I'm gonna say that I'm saying this with love, right? But for as long as I can remember, Samuel L. Jackson
Don't do it.
has looked like
Oh.
since I was young, Samuel L. Jackson was old, right? Now that I'm older, Samuel L. Jackson is old. Like he has just always been an old black man to me. Now, obviously, it's 2025. Samuel L. Jackson does look a little older, but for the lifespan of my life of these short 27 years I've been on this earth, Samuel L. Jackson has looked the same. I really feel like Billy Bob Thornton, this
Yeah.
white man, he has looked the same as well. He has
Yeah.
been this older white man. Like even when he was married to Angelina Jolie, he looked the same.
Yeah. He definitely has had that same look for a long time. And it's funny because you thought he was old back then, but now you see him now, like this is him old. Back then he wasn't really old.
But see, he
He
looked
just
the
had
same. Right.
that same swag though. But I do know that he mentioned in an interview that the role was written specifically with him in mind. So when what's his name, Teller Sheridan was writing
Hmm.
the role, he told him I'm writing the role for you. So like he had him in mind. So I think that's one of the reasons why he can just body this role. He just falls right into it just so naturally. And apparently, I know that him as a writer, Teller, that is, when he writes, he that's what he does. Like he wants to the actors and actresses that he hired to be able to just fall naturally into the role. So he has kind of like a knack for writing roles for specific people. So I thought that that was cool.
Oh, yeah, definitely cool. And it I believe it because the show is it's just Billy Bob Thornton is Billy Bob Thornton throughout the whole show.
Hmm.
Now getting to some other characters, this being one of my least favorite characters of the show, Angela.
Oh my. I love
Angela,
Angela.
Angela is Tommy Norris's ex-wife,
Hmm.
and she is the mother of his two children, Ainsley and Cooper.
Hmm.
Now, if they were doing a Real Housewives of Texas on the show of Landman, Baby and Angela would be a Sonia Morgan. She she would be the Phaedra, right? Like she would be the Kim of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Kyle Richards' sister, she'd be the Kim of the show. Angela is a lot to take in on this show. When we meet Angela, she is still married to
Hmm.
another husband who is rich. But throughout the show, she kind of like gives it all up for Tommy.
When you
But
say
I just
Like Tommy is wealthy. I mean, she does the downgrade. She goes from super rich
multi.
to wealthy. He can still provide and give her what she needs. So
So so you like Angela.
I do like Angela. I think that she adds a fun flair to the show, her and Ainsley. I think that it's a break from all of the heavy of everything else. So I think it's a nice balance. So I do know that some people either receive them well or just hate their characters in the show. My dad hates their characters in the show, but I actually just like the lightheartedness. So why don't you like her?
So I just it just I feel like from watching this show, I know Tommy. And it's like, girl, if you was married to Tommy, and again, a part of the reason why Angela got a divorce from Tommy is because of the oil fields, right? Like he could not give her the attention that she wanted. And maybe I don't
Hardly.
like Angela because she is a lot like me. When I get a man,
Oh,
okay, because I'm
okay.
when I get a man, okay, we
Keep on
not
it.
if when I actually might be a little Angela because Angela is bad-ish crazy.
She's not
However,
though.
she will cuss you out. She'll start a fight, and then she'll make a four-course dinner
And
in
that's what those
a
men
ball
need.
gown.
That's what those men that's what those men need. And not for nothing, Tommy act like he don't like it. But clearly he loves
Well,
it. He needs it.
clearly.
He wants it. So, I think with really serious men or men that have really serious jobs, that like heartedness is like, a relief. You come home, you think you don't want a four-course meal, but you do.
No, Tommy don't. Tommy says he doesn't. Okay, they got into a fight about it. Tommy was
It
like,
was
"I
the
don't
type of
need."
meal.
Well, no,
It was the type of meal. Was the whole
no.
hand and the
It's not
the
even the
shared
type of
bowl.
meal. I think what got Tommy so mad, and again, this is where I see myself and Angela. So Angela will create a whole Indian themed dinner that you gotta dip
Right.
your hand in, and Angela wants everyone to participate in the meal, and that sounds like me though, because like
It does. Because
if
you would
I
get a
said a,
straight up attitude like, oh, so you're not going to participate? Then why'd you even come then?
you
Like,
could
that's
go,
exactly.
so okay, so there is a little bit of me and Angela, and Tommy says, like, listen, I don't care what you make, because again, Angela eventually moves in with
Hmm.
Tommy. Prior to her moving in with Tommy, baby, Tommy had a freezer full of hot pockets, pot pies,
Ravioli, canned
ra-
ravioli. That
ravioli,
shouldn't be called ravioli, apparently.
according to Angela, and soda. Okay, that's and them little peanut butter and jelly like sandwiches joints. Like that's all, like Tommy was living the bachelor life. Angela wasn't about it. However,
Mm-mm.
What I will say about Angela, although she's crazy and not my favoriteest character, we do know that they love each other, right? Like,
Right.
because even though Angela is still married, she constantly calls Tommy. It's funny because I think like her ringtone for Tommy is like one of those things that's like, like it's like a warning sign when Angela is calling. And so it's obviously that they still have an attraction, they still love each other, but Angela had to move on to bigger and better.
Right.
And if I was Angela, I don't know if I'd be going
Well,
back.
I think it's a growth thing though. So just hearing about their past relationship, how much they can't stand each other, but how much they love each other, I think her growing to understand
The grass ain't
that she
always
needs to
greener.
relax a little bit. And and he even made it clear, he was like, things are not going to change, the demands are still the same, but I do appreciate it, but you can't expect me to just do what you want. Basically what you were just saying, he did lay it out for her, and I think that she's grown to accept it because she's happier with him. That just goes to show money cannot buy love. I think it can buy happiness though, but maybe not love.
Mm.
I'm
It
just
could buy
saying.
love. It could buy love over here. Okay.
Happiness, not love.
It can buy happiness too. But okay, so that is Angela. Then we meet her daughter, Ainsley. Now, Ainsley doesn't bother me as much as her mother because Ainsley is a daddy's girl, and Michelle Randolph, amazing actress. My first issue with Ainsley was, why is you playing a 15-year-old girl? Baby, ain't nothing about you. She don't give 15 or like
She's
she's
not
like supposed
playing 15.
she's like 16 or 17. She's under
She's
18.
seven. She's 17. No, and then I think she's either 17 or 18 because she's going to college. She took a year off, so she might even be 18. But how do you go from 15
Ca-
to 16, 17? Like that's a big difference.
That's
So
well,
she's 17 or 18.
and she is a Southern belle. She is raised by her mother. So obviously, how we just explained to her mom, how we explain her mom, we see some of the makings in Ainsley. However, Ainsley is really a sweet girl. I think Ainsley is highly sexualized, right? In the sense of like she dresses little mini skirts.
Provocative.
Ainsley got a body on her, but what I have come to learn is that like that's not really Ainsley. Like that's just how she dresses. She a young girl. She's showing her body off. She got these boys daunting after her, but she really is kind of like a lover and really just wants someone to love her. And we see throughout this series that like mm, 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 she got this pro athlete play. Okay, now the first
The
boyfriend.
first one or the second one?
Well, first of all, both of them they over 18. Both of them look good, but I don't know because they both look the same. But she had this like pro baseball. He was moving to Texas, and which is why it brings Ainsley to Texas because she wanted to come visit her dad while her boyfriend was, I guess, coming to school or going to visit school. But soon as Tommy Lee saw him, Tommy Lee, like he already knew what time it was. They went to a baseball game or a football game, and Tommy Lee saw how the girls were flaunting over him. And he's
Mhm.
like, and Ainsley's never really been in love. And so she's just like, Daddy, Daddy. And he is like, girl, this ain't for you. And so
I
he,
don't know. Ainsley seems like she's probably been in love like twice a year. And there's
but
nothing wrong with that. Like
no,
I love
when
her
you're
character,
15,
but I
when you're
feel
15, that's
like
what
Ainsley
happens.
is Ainsley. I don't think it's like an innocent thing there. I think she is her mom's child, and I think she knows exactly what she wants and what to do. Um, so
And
yeah, I think that's not Ainsley's first, second, third time on the let me find the star player kind of rodeo, but
listen, she
she's
deserves a
young,
star
she's
player.
beautiful, let her live her life.
No, I'm not mad. I am, listen, I am vicariously living my high school years through Ainsley. And what we quickly learned, because when we meet Ainsley and we meet Tommy, Tommy, from what we see, is this hard ass, means business. Ainsley brings this guy, drives to his house with this guy, and Tommy's like, "You're keeping your behind downstairs. My daughter's sleeping up here with me." Like, we're like, "Oh, okay." Tommy is a dad. But Tommy has a if Tommy has a sweet spot for Angela, Tommy has a super sweet spot for Ainsley. All
Hmm.
Ainsley says to her dad she want her boyfriend to stay over because they are going to read the Bible.
It's Bible study. It's very important stuff. I think that it should be taken seriously.
Okay. And this hard exterior cigarette smoking man, he goes for it.
I think he understands. She's 18, I think. Can look it up.
15.
She's definitely not 15 unless she's supposed to be a genius and she's in going to her first year of college at 15,
No,
which
because her boyfriend is going to college. She still has like another 2 years before she goes to
she
college.
she said she's going there to no because she talks about going to college. We're
Okay.
gonna have to look it up.
Okay.
We're gonna have to look it
We
up.
okay. Well, I'll get back to you. But
Thank you.
anyway, Ainsley is a sweet, innocent, vivacious, very much like her mother character. But Ainsley doesn't bother me as much.
Innocent,
Although
uh, sweet, and vibracious. Did you say?
I mean, I definitely think there is a sense of innocence there. Like we can, and I don't want to go too much into like the story yet, but there is a scene where towards the end in the new Texas boyfriend, where Ainsley and the Texas boyfriend, they finally like have sex, and after they have sex, Ainsley is like crying in his arms and essentially saying like, "I've never done this before."
Hmm.
And the boyfriend is like, "Neither have I." And she's like, "Please don't go. Like, please stay with me." Like, Ainsley wants to be loved. And so, like, I feel like there is an innocence of Ainsley, although her
Okay,
outward projection is very seductive, very like sassy. But I definitely think that there is an innocence to Ainsley.
I could see that point. I guess when I think innocent, I don't necessarily think jerking boys off in the back of a truck. You
Well,
know,
I
that's
mean,
what I, I,
I'm
I'm just
innocent.
saying. She said she was only going to jerk them off when they were in the back of the truck. That's but so I
Ain't nothing
don't
wrong with
that
that.
kind of took the innocence out for me. But you know, she's like 18, and she says she's a sexual being.
Okay, maybe me and Ainsley is one and the same. Okay. So that is Ainsley. Now let's meet one of my favorite characters. Cooper Norris. Okay. My
Oh,
man.
that's your man.
Cooper is Angela and Tommy's oldest son. There doesn't really seem to
So
be a relationship between Angela and Cooper. Like, I don't think we've seen two scenes with them
you
together.
think they have a relationship? Remember
Cooper,
when he got hurt? How she
yeah,
ran
and
in
she,
there? I just think where they're starting it off in their life, we're not going to see that because they had like some like a tumultuous thing with the breakup. And then remember when he says to Ainsley, he tells her that she wasn't around when they were together to see how bad it was. Like she was too young to remember how bad it was. So I feel like she's cared for it's her son, but he just be tired of both of ABS. So he kind of does his own thing. That's what I get from Coop Coop.
so if anybody has had it hard this season, it's been Cooper. Cooper comes to Texas because he wants a job. And as we learn as the season goes on, Cooper really wants to, I believe Cooper dropped out of college. Cooper really wants to learn the oil business. He doesn't want to be like his dad or how his dad is currently, like a middleman, but Cooper wants to learn the oil industry from the bottom up. He wants to start at the bottom and figure out how everything goes up.
And he
Tommy
wants to
being
do it honestly too. I think
right.
that's the other piece. It's not necessarily that he doesn't want to be like his dad, because his dad had it all, and he saw that as well, because he would have been old enough to remember when they had it everything, and then when it all fell apart. But I think the biggest emphasis about Cooper is just the sense of like goodness. He doesn't want to do things how people are presently doing it. He wants to do it the right way. Like even at the end when he's talking deals and he's like being fair and honest up front about the money and the percentage. I think like that's the emphasis with Cooper, and how he doesn't want to be like his dad. It's just like not he wants to be a good person, basically.
Yes. And so Cooper comes to work on the oil fields. He starts as a worm on an oil team, and a lot happens. And we can get into, I think, a lot of what happens to Cooper really kind of plays into the narration of what happens this season, and we can get into that when we are like breaking down important crucial pieces of the season. But Cooper just has been through a lot. Cooper don't
Hmm.
really want much. Cooper just is, he's a simple man. And I'm single, Cooper. If Cooper wanna build a life with me, if Cooper wanna,
When
if
I first
if
saw Cooper, I felt like I wanted him to be cuter.
but so
But it's his
I
personality though.
at it is.
Like you
However,
feel like,
this is
yeah,
what I would
like what are we thinking?
but here's the thing, right? Because I 1,000% agree with you, right? I was like, I want Cooper to be a little bit more attractive. However,
Right.
I think they casted Cooper perfectly, because I really do feel like when Billy Bob Thornton was, not even Billy Bob Thornton, because Billy Bob Thornton been old his whole life, but when
Her whole
Tommy
life.
Norris was young, I feel like Tommy Norris gave what Cooper gives, like not super attractive, but it's his like his demeanor. He's hardworking.
Right.
I think that like it really kind of plays. I think they casted him perfectly to kind of give Tommy a little bit, because Tommy isn't the most attractive person
No,
either.
he's not. But I do agree with you saying. Like when I first saw him, I was like, ugh, I wanted him to just be like a just a little cuter. But then once we start to see his character
I
develop, you're like, you're not
one
bad.
when when the Spanish people's relatives came to beat up Tommy, and Tommy handed them a bop, 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 bop. I bet you that's where your attitude changed about Tommy, wasn't it?
About Tommy, or are we talking
I
about
mean,
Cooper?
about
When
Cooper.
Cooper I mean, that did be like, oh, I wasn't expecting that. It's like, oh, okay, that's what
Oh.
we out here doing. Because he did whip his ass real quick, but um, but even after that, I was still wanting him to be a little bit cuter. I think as his relationship developed, with what's her name?
Uh, w- Ariana, not
Yes,
Ariana.
Ariana. When his relationship started develop, and we just got a little bit more of just who he is as a person. He's just such a sweet guy. Like
Yeah.
that, nobody's that sweet. Nobody. So I could just see, and then see. I don't want to get too deep into it, but that one thing when she said, like, nobody's ever looked at me how he looks at me
Mm,
every time. That was just like everybody deserves a Cooper. Coop, coop.
I agree. And it's like he's a simple man, right? Like
Right.
it's also something about his simplicity that I love. But so that is Cooper, one of my favorite characters. And then we have Monty Miller. Monty Miller is a wealthy and influential oil tycoon who has deep industry ties. He
Mhm.
is the boss man of the boss man of the boss man. He has the money, he has the power. He obviously is not just into oil. Oil is a huge part of what brings him money, but he's got his hand in a lot of different other things, and he is who Tommy directly reports to. Um, and I don't really have anything negative to say about Tommy. I mean,
Mhm.
about Monty, other than when they say more money, more problems. And sometimes when they say that, you're thinking, oh, family members come in to take your money, or like, but sometimes more money, more health problems. We never see in this whole series Monty happy. We never see Monty enjoying anything. We never see Monty, like Monty is
That's a good
always,
point.
even when he's with his family, he's answering a phone call. He's got to make $2 billion worth of decision. Like we physically see the stress level
Right.
that this oil tycoon has to deal with. He is ruthless. He is like, clearly him and Tommy have a friendship, but also multiple times throughout the series, Monty say, hey, Tommy, don't you ever in your life talk to me like that again.
But
But
keep in mind they grew up together too. So I think that there's that layer. Tommy is like an OG because again, he was the first to make it amongst their bunch because they grew up together. So it's not like he hired him and this is just somebody coming in. This is somebody who he grew up with. So he has that level of respect there also because again, Tommy was the first one to make it to be like the top man in their oil industry. So I do think that's why Tommy loses himself a little bit in a conversation. But I also do think that Monty gives him rope as well
oh yeah,
because the way he be talking to him sometimes, but Monty Tommy know what he talking about though. So he gotta trust Tommy. Tommy is his guy. So yeah.
and Tommy don't give a F, okay? Because Tommy
He
gonna
really
pick up.
don't.
He really does it. Tommy pick up the phone and be like, "This is what we got to do. What do you want to do?" But again, I just always just want to stress the stress level that this multi-million-dollar man has.
Yeah.
We constantly see it. He's constantly like at events, picking up the phone. He's constantly
Mm-hmm.
doing things, and it definitely weighs heavy on him. Now, mind you, you're about to be mad at me, Dara,
Oh God.
because when we were discussing doing this, and I was like, let me get the graphics and let me get everything up. Monty has a wife. Her name is Camille
Miss
Miller.
Demi.
Girl, I did not know this was Demi Moore the whole series. Now
That is so funny.
I'm like, I know she looks familiar, but I did not know she was Demi Moore until I was grabbing these graphics.
Demi, first of all, Demi is like one of those people who is she aging? Is she a vampire? Or who is her surgeon? Where, like, what type of Botox? She, first of all, she came out of nowhere. I did not expect her. Actually, I felt the same way. My mom was like, "Yeah, Demi Moore is in there." I was like, "Where? Where is she at?"
Right.
I didn't realize that right away either. But she looks great. She came out of nowhere, just out of this hiatus on this, and she's in that movie where she also looks great, Substance or Substance. I don't know if you saw that, but yeah, surprise, surprise.
Surprise, surprise. Hold on. You see on the tour, like, surprise, surprise. Uh, yeah, and she doesn't have a big role. And I think half of
No.
the times, because for the beginning half of the times, you don't even really see Demi, right? She'll
Hmm.
be swimming in a pool, and this in Monty's multi-million-dollar house, she's just swimming in the pool. And again, I think they want to draw this conclusion that yes, Monty is very wealthy. He
Hmm.
provides this amazing house. He's constantly dealing with the stress always. And then you just see his wife swimming in the pool, and she get out the pool like, "You getting in today?" And so I think that is, I only really realized it was to me on like the second to third episode when we got to see a little bit more of
Hmm.
her. But I mean, great for the little bit of role that she had. She played the hell out of the role.
Yeah,
I
she
mean,
did. I mean, it's Demi. It's Demi Moore.
yeah. And so essentially she just plays Monty's wife, who
Yep.
is this kept woman. And really that's it.
Well,
That's
we
all.
don't know. Normally, billionaire wives, they do their work and they do other things. We don't know, but we do know that she made the final decision at the end to pull the
She
trigger
did.
on a deal that will probably have a huge
I
impact. We'll see
I
next season.
definitely feel like next season her will have an impact, but I also feel like I could see where the heads are going to be button next season, but we will get there. But I definitely think Demi's her role will definitely be magnified in the next season
Next
if
season, definitely.
if
Yep.
we get
I
to
like the
the
way
next season.
it's how they set it up like that too.
That
So,
right. Then we have Rebecca. Rebecca is a lawyer, a
hmm
fierce and determined lawyer navigating the legal sides of the oil industry. Um, Rebecca's character is, I like her. I like her. She's feisty. She's like very smart with it. She's a very smart lawyer. I liked her
hmm
coming in. I will say my like for her kind of like went a little
when
downhill
she came for your boy, Coop
when
Coop.
not when she came from my boy Coop Coop because she was still doing her job. My like for Rebecca kind of like went downhill towards the end when the power changed. And it was like, girl, you got to get on board or you can go find another job. It's kind of like how I feel about her. But I really love her because she is a woman lawyer in this. She works for essentially, she's coming in on behalf of OSHA. OSHA, is the regulation for the job places. And I'm not doing a really good job describing OSHA, but essentially, OSHA is the overseer of like workplace code enforcement, and it is very big in the oil industry because it is one of the most dangerous industries and a lot of things happen, a lot of people die, and things have to be up to code for OSHA. And so normally Monty and Tommy have a person that they have that comes out, and essentially it's like, you ever get in a car accident, you take it to that car shop, the car shop say it's total, and then you get your money from the insurance company. And that's kind of like Monty and Tommy had that. She is someone new that OSHA is sending. And listen, she is not a greenhorn. People look at her as this very pretty woman, but she means business.
Yeah, she's a liability lawyer.
Yes.
But then Monty hires her. So then she works for him now. So her character is interesting. I like her. I like her character. I like her for what she has to do. I just hate some of the situations she has to be in, like
Yeah.
where she's directing that energy. Because when she's in that boardroom with the guys and she's like laying into them, I'm loving every single second of it. But then when she's in the house with Ariana, it's like,
That's lawyers, but
yeah,
regardless, she nasty. And what
she
I mean
is. I
by
love it.
yeah, I mean I love it. Like regardless.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely love her character.
Yeah.
Then we have my second favorite character. So my first favorite character is Coop, and
Okay.
my second favorite character is Nathan.
Nathan. I love
Okay.
Nathan. I love Nathan's character. He's like just that same calm energy that's around.
So Nathan is a damage control lawyer working to protect the company's interests. So he works very closely with Tommy, but essentially, like Nathan, his boss, like everybody's boss is Monty's.
Monty.
However, to make things even more interesting, Nathan and Tommy live together. So the oil company bought this, like, I don't know, 5-bedroom, 4-bedroom home, and Tommy and Nathan live together. Nathan's office is the kitchen. Nathan is this older man. He's very set in his ways, but he is about his business. And I just love Nathan because Nathan is Nathan's with the shits, right? Like, he knows stuff isn't up and up. And Nathan is like, working on, hey, did you have this conversation with this? We need to get this deal done. I
Mhm.
just like Nathan's presence.
Right. It's like a common, constant presence that's there. I definitely love his character. It's like funny the interactions that he and have when he runs into Ainsley. Like you said, they do really hypersexualize her, but when he runs in, he's like, "Oh my god!" Like you
But
gotta
this is
go.
right.
Like,
I
it's
am
disturbing
this
him.
60-year-old man. I don't need to see this young, attractive woman. And what I like about Nathan is he is very appropriate. Like, Nathan is
Right.
clearly saying, like, if I were to look, I would be attracted to this young lady. However, I am not looking. I really wish you would go. I'm going to go
Right.
outside and work today.
Right. Exactly. I like Nathan's character. He's always cool and calm. Yeah, one of my faves as well. And then
Yes, and
you
then
are you
go
going
ahead.
into their third roommate too? Because you said it's three of them. They live in a house together.
Yes, I
Oh, okay.
am going up, but mind you, I think I might have messed up, and I don't think I have. Hold on, let me look. Now, you know, I couldn't forget. Now, he's not one of my most favorite characters, but he is one of the interesting characters and loyal characters. We
Mm-hmm.
also have Dale,
Dale.
James Jordan as Dale. Dale also lives in the home with
He
Tommy,
does.
Nathan, and Dale. And so, again, I can only imagine what that house smelled like. I described to y'all what was
I
in the
know.
refrigerator. None of these men are eating healthy. None of these men, like, it's just,
That's true. This
and
is
so
true.
Dale works on the oil rigs. They don't really they don't really tell us, or they don't really specify what Dale's role is, but I get Dale is like a supervisor, a
I feel
lot
like
like
he's a general, like he's a general amongst their, folk.
yeah,
Because he's like, that's a good point. But like a supervisor general, like he's not the one getting his hands
dirty
like
dirty,
dirty, dirty, but he's
but
running stuff.
he's running stuff, and it is a definitely a difference of when we see Dale on the job. Dale means business. Dale is, "Whoa," but
And
also
go ahead.
what? Go.
Yeah, I was gonna say
I,
it's funny because he plays that role so well. He plays that same role. Like I feel like that role is who he is. Like that character is who he is in real life. And even in other things that he's in, like he plays that role. I don't know if you've ever seen anything else that Dell is in, but he's
yes,
that
I
same
feel like
person.
Dale was in. I feel like Dale played in Sons of Anarchy.
Was he?
I think he might have been because again, he played that same type of role
Right,
as a
he does.
biker,
I know
and
Lioness is the last one I seen him in, which is also a good show. Lioness, if anybody gets a chance to watch it, but he plays that same exact character. He is the same person. So I just wonder if when the writer was writing that, it was like the same thing in mind. Let me just make this character as natural as possible for him. But yeah, I just think he is that role. I love Dell. He's like that cool uncle.
yeah, and he is like Tommy's right hand man,
Right.
and he's like we get to see fun and silly sides of him at the home, but like he be laying business and he come through, he don't ask questions. And listen,
I
if the
think
cartel
Dell appreciates the meals as well. I would
uh,
have to say Dell does appreciate the dinners that Angela
he
be coming up with.
because he because one, he always be at the table, and then he be right up in there. So yes, Dale does. He was tired of the hot pockets. And then last but not least, I felt like it was important for us to bring up Ariana. Now, I guess we can start diving into the series with Ariana. Ariana was married to Elvo. Elvo was a man that worked on the oil rig. He had a team. I believe it was like five of them. They all were related. He worked with his dad, his brother, and his two cousins. And Ariana was his girlfriend or his wife.
His
They
wife.
they just had a baby,
Mhm.
and Ariana also becomes the love interest of Cooper. And so I think from this, and I like Ariana. I
Mhm.
think that she is between a rock and a hard place, but I love the way that this writer and that how they do in this series. I love how they show her conflict, right? Like it's
Right.
very palatable, like we can feel it, we can see it. And so I think they do a great job with this character, Ariana.
I agree. I do think they give her they do a good job, and I think that they do a good job just showing how complicated feelings can be. And we don't people don't know what that process is. It's different for everybody. Grief and losing somebody, how fast should you move on? So I think that they tackle a lot of those like complicated things, like life things, just with her storyline and Coop's storyline alone. So yeah, I do love her character.
Yeah. And so we hour in and we got through the characters and the plot. Now we're kind of going to talk about just the show in general. I really feel like, and I leave it off with Ariana because I feel like the show, we meet Tommy.
Mhm.
Tommy is bringing his son Cooper to the job. His son Cooper wants a job, so he is making Cooper, he's becoming a worm. A worm on the team is kind of like the new person in a greenhorn, a trainee, somebody on a 90-day probation, and
Mhm.
joining this team that is very cohesive. It consists of a father, two sons, cousins. They're conjoined. They bring Cooper in. Cooper is having a rough couple of days. However, what I love, I was not ready for episode 1 of Landman because we get to meet this team that essentially long ass days. Cooper is figuring himself out. Cooper lives on site like everyone else. They have like site housing. Cooper lives
Mhm.
on site housing after his first, I believe it's like 12-hour day. They about to drop Cooper off, and the dad is like, "You got food in there?" Cooper's like, "I got something," and he like, "Stay in the car." Then they take Cooper to their home. They grilling and reminding me of your dad. The dad reminded me of your dad. Not really friendly, but like once you get to know him, he is like
Yeah.
all of joy. And they grilling. They speak Spanish. Elvo or Ivo. I think it's
I think it's Elvo,
Elvo,
but I don't know.
Elvo and Cooper kind of build this relationship where Cooper doesn't really speak Spanish, and Elvo is like, "Listen, if you're going to be around, you're going to have to try to speak Spanish." Something
Mhm.
I was trying to teach my dear friend while we were in Mexico.
I
That
did a
like
good job. I tried.
you got to at least try. Like
I
you don't want
tried.
to
I
be
tried.
you don't want to be that American in other countries just being like, excuse me," even like
That first of all, that was not me. Don't even put that out there.
Okay.
I tried. It was like a mixture of Spanish, English, or I would look at you mortified for help. But nevertheless, I tried.
So again, and sometimes it might not be perfect, but it's the effort, right? You don't, and
Right.
so Elva was teaching Cooper, like, you gotta try.
Hmm.
This means eat, this means food. And Elvo and Cooper had a really good, like we just saw them building this bond. Simultaneously, OSHA is coming in to these oil rigs because they are outdated. A lot of
Hmm.
things aren't going on. And
Corroded. Yeah.
just they're not being well taken care of, but they're producing oil. And so Monty is telling Tommy that OSHA is sending our person. When they get there, take them around town. However, they person don't show up. It's our girl, Rebecca.
Hmm.
She's showing up to take a look. Now, the end of the first episode, Cooper's second day on the job. They at a well. They trying to figure what's going on, something happening. And they ask Cooper to go to the truck to get a wrench because
Because
they
he's the
can't.
worm, and
He's
the
the
worms
worm.
need to be the run boy. They need to run and get the stuff. So just, put some context of why they chose him to go run and get
Yes.
the stuff.
So continue. Tell us what happens, girl.
Well, I guess whatever they were trying to open was jams. And while Cooper was running to get some type of instrument or tool to help them open it, they used a wrench or something, and they was like banging on it, which created a spark, which everything just blew up. Everybody died. And even Cooper, I think Cooper was running back. And while he was running back with the tool,
A
like the
wrench.
force just like blew him back. So everything blew up. It was the oil well, was, highly flammable. So that's what happened. Everybody died. And
So
that
this
was
whole family that we
that
just
whole
met,
family.
that we just fell in love with, that is feeding Cooper, Elvo showing Cooper how to like speaks
The
language.
ropes. Yep.
The two other people like that, we were just warming up to them,
The whole family just gone.
and they all died, and Cooper survives.
Yep. The new white guy survived.
Okay, These Spanish men have been doing this for years and years and years. And that is an important thing to remember. Like, we're not even trying to be funny, but that's
Right.
important. These Spanish men that have been doing this for years, this scrawny little white kid comes in that gets not a DEI job from his dad. Okay. Okay. I'm just saying, he got a
Little bit.
DEI job because his dad worked for the company. So they put him with this team. And his second day on the job, the whole family dies, but Cooper lives.
It's very sad, very random.
Now Cooper effed up. Cooper is effed up. Now, this is why I say Angela, the mom, don't really like Cooper, because when Tommy is out and about doing something with the lawyer, he calls his ex-wife to say Cooper's in the hospital. She gonna say, "I'm gonna wait for you."
But that's a little farther down the line.
Okay, all
That's
right.
a little farther down the line. And she gives you reason for that. Don't do that to Angela like that. That's a little farther down the line after he, get beat up. That wasn't from this instance.
Okay. So a lot happens. OSHA, Rebecca is there saying, like, were these wells managed? When was the last time? All of these things, a lot of things come into play. Another thing that happens that is a huge part of this storyline is, I don't know if it's one of their planes, one of their rigs, something goes missing from the oil rig, something about a part of a big truck, and then all of a sudden a plane crashes in the middle of the desert and a truck is there. And that is really what sparked the OSHA connection. Now, we know that the cartel is there. The cartel is in Texas, okay? Tommy's slinging oil. The cartel is slinging cocaine. And they seem to coexist, right? They from time to time will steal some of the trucks, some of the facility, some of the things that they have on their land, like the oil people, and the cartel will use that to move their property. They kind of just, I see no evil, hear no evil, because listen, like, we don't want no
They
problems.
work together. Yep.
We don't want no problem, no problem. Whew. We don't want no problem. They don't want no problems. They kind of work together.
Right.
However, with this crash, the police, all of this comes in and they're like, this is one of your cars. Did you report the car stolen? The car isn't
Hmm.
reported stolen. So now we're thinking it's some of you. And then that's when Ocean gets involved, because Ocean is like, okay, what's going on? We got to see what's happening. And so Tommy then explains to them where they are working, the conditions, the fields that they are working. The cartel is here. We can't, like, if we were to report everything that goes missing, it takes a year and a half for them to then deem that it was stolen, and we'll get half of the money. Tommy's saying, if we just mind our business, we'll get the truck back 2 to 3 months.
And just keep it moving. Yep.
Keep it moving. And so we learn of this relationship of the cartel and Tommy is absolutely the middleman between all of this. OSHA comes in. Our girl Rebecca comes in. She is doing her job. She sees a lot of different things. Tommy doesn't understand whether or not, like, Tommy is looking at Rebecca like she is actually an Ocean person coming out here, like trying to jam him up. But in reality, she is working for them and she is asking necessary questions, because it's like, I need to understand whether you're doing this by the book or not. Would you say, like, I need to understand what is going on so that when I report back to my people, I have a better understanding of what's going on?
Yeah, Tommy is just being cautious though, because she is a liability lawyer. Their normal guy that normally comes out there did not come out there. So in the back of his mind, he's like, okay, somebody has to be the scapegoat for this. Is Monty hanging me out to dry? Because he understands the business. He understands that somebody has to be the person that falls on the sword. So I think that's why he just was like, I don't know if she here to just jam me up or what, but yeah, he does. develop a better relationship with her once he sees he can trust her.
Yes. Also, another thing to keep in mind through as the show goes on, these oil rigs are older. They're
Hmm.
not producing as well as they could be. There
Right.
are other older oil. So I guess, and again, I don't know a lot, so don't expect me to know a lot. But there are oil wells, and then they have like the oil diggers. They have some older oil wells that have not been producing a lot of oil. However, there is this option that if Monty were to fix some of these wells and put maybe newer oil grabber uppers in there, it might cost
um,
$3 million.
for a grabber
They could
upper.
for a grabber upper, for
Oh, okay.
a digger downer.
I gotta see what those look like.
Yeah, hold on, wait.
The
Cause a
oil
grabber
grabber
upper.
uppers.
Hold on, wait. Can we? Okay, they in the background of this image. The
Oh,
oil
so
grabber
those are the
uppers.
grabber uppers.
Those are the grabber uppers. Yes.
Oh, okay. Got it. Got
And
it.
so they also realize that like you can't just dig deep down. You have to frack, and
Do it
fracking is
sideways.
you got to go sideways sometimes to get the oil. And so Monty approves this like $5 million deal to switch out the link, like the switch out an older well with a newer thing and to see if it can produce. They do it. It actually does produce. Um, in some kind of way, shape, or form, the cartel, something happens with the cartel. Do you
So they
remember like there?
lose their some of their product, which obviously is money on their
Yes.
land. So they feel as though they should be responsible for the lost funds. So that's why the cartel drama, because like you said, they forever had this relationship. I'm going to turn a blind eye type of thing. But then what happens when some someone loses merchandise on your land?
Right.
Who's to blame? Who's to pay? So
It's also important in the cartel is somewhat similarly set up to like how Tommy and Monty are set up. Monty doesn't deal with the cartel. Tommy deals with the cartel. And with the cartel, the head of the cartel isn't dealing with Tommy. They send their Tommy person. And
right.
mind you now, the Tommy person, they said the Tommy of the cartel, I likes him. I'm okay. uh, and so it also seems like he's a little younger, a little hot-headed, and essentially he is saying to Tommy, like, you my boss is saying you need to put this money back. And Tommy's like, how are you telling me to give you money back when you stole our ish
To begin with.
to begin with? Like that Tommy's like, we lost the truck, you lost the plane. End of story. And so the cartel person is saying, no, keep playing with us. We're going to make it a little more difficult for you to move on in onto these lands. You got these new projects that you're building with these old wells with these new things. We'll make it difficult for you.
And what Tommy
And so,
say? Tommy was like, who, me? Me? You talking to me? Oh, y'all don't even know who the big boss is. No, that was his
and
moment.
and so essentially, they start digging on some of the land. And the cartel pulls up, and the cartel pulls up with their guns, like, what's up? And now some of the men are scared to go to the oil well because they don't want the cartel to pull up. But in true fashion, Tommy goes to a very specific team. Please describe the team that Tommy goes to go to this new
Wait, what's
well.
his name? Is it King? It's something like that. What's the black guy's name?
Uh, I don't know. Let me see if I can hold on. Let me see if I can.
Because you
And it's Boss. His name is Boss. And
there you go.
please describe his crew to us.
So he has the black crew, of course. No, but he has the black crew, but also the Mexican crew. I think he has it's a lot of Mexican, but he has the ties to the black crew, the gangsters, so to speak,
So to speak.
so to
Uh,
speak.
and so Boss doesn't play.
No.
However, after Cooper gets out of the hospital, Cooper still wants to work. There isn't really a team that wants to take Cooper on because of everyone's looking at it like this worm worked 2 days on a shift and his whole crew died. But of course, Boss's crew, before Boss's crew takes him in, when Cooper finally returns to his like dorm situation, the cousins, the family members of the people that just died pay Cooper a visit. And they got guns and they knocking on Cooper's door. Cooper just come outside, smoke a cigarette like his daddy. And they come up and say, "What's up, Woody?" And the way I guess Cooper used to do martial arts or something.
Did he say he
Bah,
used to
bah,
wrestle or
bah, bah,
something?
bah, bah, bah,
Yeah,
bah, bah, bah. Cooper served a big pot of whoop ass
real
and,
quick.
and some
It
empanadas.
was
Okay.
lightweight. It really was. He really gathered their asses. Yes. That was the first time we got to see a different side of Coop. We got to see him flex, a little bit,
But
see
he
where he
didn't
was
want to flex.
going.
He wasn't trying to fight. But also, the people that just tried to beat him up, they work on Boss's crew.
Boss's
And
crew. But
now
they were the
he has
cousins of the folks who died. Remember, like they were related and the best friend to the folks who
to
died. So they
elbow
just looking
and
at him like, you know, you did this. Somehow, some way, this is your fault and we hate your life. We hate you for this.
he asked his dad for a new crew. Tommy trusts Boss, and guess who Boss's crew happens to be? The people that just tried to fight him.
Yes. So you can already see how that's going to go.
Yeah, so that was a lot for Cooper. So essentially, Boss's crew comes in, the cartel comes to the well, Boss's crew is strapped up, and the cartel kind of like subsides for a little bit. But Tommy knows that this is going to be an issue. So Tommy calls Monty, and Tommy calls Monty and is telling Monty, "Hey, we got this well up. This well, I guess, let's say the well was producing 200 gallons a day. Since they put the new, since they tried the new method, it is now pumping 800 a day. They want to be able to explore these other 8, 9, 10 wells, but this is like a $3 billion exploration." And so Monty, stressed out, is like, "Okay, this well has produced." He's like, "We can do it well by well. Let's do 2 wells at a time. If they produce, we can continue to do, we'll move on to it." Again, this is Monty taking money from himself. Monty don't have no investors. Monty is taking his own money out of himself. However, Tommy is explaining to us that, like, listen, the cartel, they want our ass. We can't, like, this amount of money that we're putting into these new wells, we need some type of protection. Like, the sheriff is
Hmm.
on our side, but he's not big. I need for you to do something
Not to
because
mention the guys who they had protecting them, half of them they said worked for the cartel. They were actually selling the cartel's products. So they knew that having those people there for some extra firepower would only be a temporary thing because it was no way that that could be a sustained type of thing. So insert where you move
what
into the insert of the army.
so because Monty, very similar to our today, very similar to what's happening in our country today. The wealthy millionaires, trillionaires, they know people in the government. They know different things. And they know that the army is looking for different sites to test and to train people. And so they decide to bring the army in, just like the National Guard, to like run field tests in this area. And they feel like that will be enough to deter the cartel. Once they see the army moving in, they're like, oh no. And so then they're like, "Hey, we fly helicopters and stuff. We shoot different cars and stuff down. Can we use this land?" Tommy's like, "Go ahead. Do whatever you do. We don't care." The army
Perfect.
moves in. The army is doing some procedures and they have some targets they shoot down. And girl, what does the army shoot down?
Of course, a truck, a cartel truck. So, yeah.
They shoot a cartel truck down. The army is freaking out. The army is like, "I've got my men's ready to call the people. What's happening? This looks like we just killed somebody." Meanwhile, Tommy is in the hospital visiting Cooper, who just got his ASS kicked in from the cousins. Okay, Cooper
But
been
you
down real
kind of
bad.
you yes, you got to roll it back a little bit. Like, how
Okay.
did we get there? How do we get to Cooper getting his ass whipped by the cousins? Because last we checked in, he whipped the cousins, but and the friends behind. Then they had to work together, so they were working together. He was chilling,
Oh, that's
trying
right.
to be
Okay, that's right.
cool.
Okay.
And at
Then,
what point did
okay.
that turn the corner to, okay, we got to get him. We got to whip his ass again.
So, thank you, Dara. So, they whooped Cooper's ass. Then they had to work together. Then one of
No,
the
Cooper whipped their ass.
okay, Cooper worked their ass.
Then they had to work together.
Then they had to work together. Then one of their men's got sick, or something happened where it was supposed to be three of them, and one of them got sick, or something happened, and then Cooper had to step up, and then Cooper had to step up in this position that he first of all, OSHA, y'all need to be looking into this because this is Cooper's third day on the job. There should be no way that Cooper steps into this position after the team that he just worked with blew up. I digress.
He's
I
the boss's
digress.
son, and he's determined. So
I don't care. I don't care if you're determined or not. His behind should be in an office reading a book for 7 months before he's back out on the oil field. But I like Cooper, so I'm gonna digress. But anyway, somebody gets sick, somebody had to go. So Cooper had to climb up to the top of the thing, and when the oil thing come around, Cooper gotta grab it. I'm just thinking about this right now, and it's like actually like why the F is Cooper up there? Anyway, we like Cooper, we like Cooper, we like Cooper, we like Cooper. Cooper does it and he kills it. And like they're like, oh, like he like does a great
kind of,
job.
he had a near death experience. Remember, he falls a little bit, like he drops from the ladder. Remember, he slips, his foot slips,
No,
and he
the
falls a
friend
little bit.
slips, and Cooper's one of the people that goes up there to help him. I don't think it was
Yeah, but
Cooper. It was
Cooper slips.
oh, okay.
Yeah,
Well, yeah.
Cooper slips. And he talks about, like, in the interview, just like he did have a stunt double to help with part of that, but a lot of it he did himself. And he's like, I had to climb all the way up there and actually have my foot slip and kind of fall. And then it cuts, and that's when the stunt double jumps in. But he actually does do a little bit himself. And he's like, it's just super high. It was scary. It was one of the most scary things I had to do while recording this. But yeah, but ultimately he does save the day, and he gets in good with this crew now. They're starting to kind of like, oh, okay, he's not that bad. But
But at the same time, a mother, four wives have lost their husbands, and it's a memorial. And because Cooper is the type of person that he is, he wants to show his respect because in reality, Cooper had nothing to do with this. Like it was literally Cooper's second day on the job.
did not. He did not.
He shows up to the family house, and the cousins. The cousins
Mm-hmm.
was like, you is not coming in here. You better turn it. Da, da, da. And so then the mother of the oldest worker comes out, and she's like, essentially, she doesn't blame Cooper. And like, I feel like Spanish, Mexican, Black people, we have a lot of similarities because I know
Right.
that that's something your mom would do, and that's
Mm-hmm.
something my mom would do. After she felt Cooper was really there to show love, she asked him, "Did you eat?"
Right. And it's like one of those things that transcends communication boundaries. Like, everybody got to eat, everybody is hungry. You can easily offer food with gesture where a person just knows. So it was like, not no need of a lot of conversation. This is how we show you that we're opening our doors, opening our arms by just feeding you. So yeah, and you're absolutely right. Like, either one of our families would just do that because that's just like, the thing to
Just
do.
what we do, right? And it's like food is a way of like it's food is just a way of community, right? It's like when
Right.
we have a family barbecue and like whoever you bring, your family, my family, we're gonna open you up into our arms with
For
love.
the most part.
For the most
For the
part.
for the most
For the
part. There
most
might be
part.
one or
Might
two.
be. Listen, but sometimes you gotta watch when you
Might throw
come to
you a little
some.
shade at first, but
But they'll be able. But you never know what you see at these barbecues. You might see a uncle rolling down a hill. Okay,
uh,
we'll have to get to that to another day. But I was at a Dara barbecue, and one of her uncles was trying to break
old
up a
school.
little riffraff, and all I know is that I was sitting there with my wine, watching it all fall down. Because one thing's for certain, two things for sure: when it's time for me to leave their house, I leaves. Okay, I was
Yeah,
just sitting.
Bryce, you leave wherever, whenever you ready to go. You do a quick goodbye, maybe, and you did.
Anyway, some things were unfolding. Next thing I know, Dara's uncle was rolling down a hill. But mind you, the hill was not a big hill. So I was confused as to why he was rolling so
Rolling so
long
many
down.
times.
I don't understand. But
Maybe that was the wine.
shout out to Uncle JC. But we so Cooper comes, they feed him. A big thing about when Cooper met Elvo, and the first time they fed Cooper something, they gave him something super, like a little hazing. They gave him something super spicy, and like Cooper hot. He gets to this house. Ariana is there with the young baby, and Cooper is eat, or does she get? She gets Cooper something to eat. They
Yeah,
kind of like form this. Cooper is just saying, "I'm so sorry, anything I can do." They exchange numbers. He's like, if you need anything, please call me. Like, it's just the least that he can do.
right.
And so, as our lawyer, insert lawyer Rebecca and Nathan, they are trying to settle these claims. They want to settle these claims of these deaths because really, the well is not up to OSHA standards, and this family could essentially take this well down. And just what a lot of people do with low income families, with minority people, they'll flash these numbers in front of the
They'll
family
lowball
that
them.
they've never seen. Also, there's a language barrier.
Right,
They're grieving. They'll offer
right.
these low numbers to these people that seem a lot, and they take it, and it really solves the problem. Well, Ariana called Cooper one day
And this is after though. So this is
after. Okay,
after they
break it
had a
down.
little bit more of some building a relationship. So this is after he came by to help her with housework. This is also what triggered the cousins to really like whip Cooper ass and put him in the hospital. So this is after the memorial. He then would come
So talk
by.
about that though.
He
So
then would, which part? So
him
he
coming
would
by
then
doing
come by
housework,
like to help her. He would mow the lawn. He would, take out trash. He would just do like the shit that needed to be done that
a
because she
good
didn't have that
man.
help. And of course she has a newborn. So while he was there, the cousin seen him there, like one of the cousins or the friends seen him there helping. And he made a big stink about it because he was like taking out, I think, stuff from the lawn because he was like doing backyard work and he was coming up front bringing the bags out. And the cousin saw and wanted to put on a whole scene or whatever. And he tried to approach Cooper then, and then she came out and she saw what it was. She like, listen, y'all don't even help me. Y'all don't come by. Y'all don't check on a baby. Y'all don't take out no trash. Y'all don't bring me groceries. Like, y'all don't do nothing. But here, this man here, he comes over here to help me to see how I'm doing. And you want to be mad at him for that? You ain't trying to help. She basically was like, you just trying to fuck. Like,
Oh,
that's what she said. That's what she said. She said, you just want me and you're mad that I'm giving my attention to somebody that wants to help. So that is what like triggered the cousins and the friends to want to just go ham on Cooper. That's what led to Cooper getting his behind wood because they was mad at that. So yeah,
no,
that's how they developed Ariana and Cooper developed that relationship. That's why she began to trust him and why she called him when the lawyer was over there trying to lowball her because she knew that Cooper was the only one that had her best interests in mind.
I do just want to talk about Cooper getting his behind whipped for the third, or Cooper. Another tragic thing happens to Cooper. So after Cooper is helping Ariana mowing the lawn, he goes back to his house. They then broke into his house and they whoop Cooper's behind.
He had a collapsed lung. He had broken ribs. They just went to town on my man Coop.
So also, this is where I could forego the smell of smoke on Tommy a little bit because when Tommy found out what happened, Tommy and they did a little research. They called Boss Man. Boss Man was like, "Duh, duh, 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 duh." They knew who it was. Tommy
Said say
called the
less.
sheriff. Sheriff said, "Listen, I know who it is. Don't get there till about 30 minutes. Call Boss Man. Boss Man they pulled up on the people. Tommy pulled up, and I said, "Ooh, Tommy, let me smell that cigarette smoke," because Tommy didn't play about his son.
And who else was there riding? Who else been
And
riding? Dell.
and
Dell was
Dale was
there.
there. Dale
Okay,
was
ready
there
to
with a
ride. He
wrench.
always there. He is Dell is always there ready to ride for his homeboy. Okay.
And
Oh, look at that.
they whooped. This is Cooper right after everything blew up, but they whooped his behind. And
They
so while
did.
Cooper is in the hospital recovering, Ariane finds out while they are offering settlement to Ariane. All of the other mothers and wives are willing to settle. Ariane is asking questions, and then she gets the call about Cooper. She leaves to go see Cooper at the hospital there with the family. And then when it's time
Drops
for Cooper,
everything.
she
Yep.
drops everything. And then when it's time for Cooper to leave the hospital, I guess Tommy is thinking he's going to come home with him. Ariana says he coming with me.
Right.
And Tommy, rightfully so, is like, that's not a good idea. However, the heart wants what the heart wants. And so Orion and Cooper start living together. Obviously, if they start living together, more feelings, more attraction comes. Um, Cooper is not dumb. When they come back to offer Orion some money, because I think they want to offer them $200,000.
Yeah, it was something small like that. I think each family got like 250,000,
Cooper said
something like that,
2 million
a
for
piece.
everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody. And they was mad because Cooper knew enough that they're lowballing them. Cooper knew enough that like if this goes to any other higher level, it could. And so they were forced to kind of like
To settle.
to
Yeah.
settle. And so now Cooper is getting these people to okay, if my panties weren't wet enough
Oh
for
God.
Cooper. Now Cooper getting these people. I mean, I'm drenched at this point. And
Oh
so
wow.
Cooper is getting them this money, which also is interesting because Monty is now calling Tommy, like, what the hell is your son doing?
Mid heart attack.
Oh,
That might be the thing that set him over. That might be the thing that set him over. Yeah,
so,
because that at this point, that is like his boss still.
right. And so they are like, Tommy, get your son. Your son just negotiated us out of like having to pay $1 million out to everybody. Now I'm having to pay tens of millions of dollars.
Hmm.
Um, and so a lot of other things happening, but I do want to just stick with Cooper and Ariane because again, it's just their relationship is really kind of what grabbed me and kind of stuck with me in the fourth quarter of everything, where it's like they clearly are growing to like each other. Ariane is still having remorse of she just lost
She's
her
still
life,
mourning. Yeah.
her everything, and it's like she has this man in her house. They were sleeping in the bed at first, and then she was like, I can't do this, I'll make room for you in another room. But for me, it was Cooper's patience. Like Cooper was like, listen, we can be friends. I don't even want to be here, you want me here.
Right.
Like let's take it slow. But again, just the body, I don't even want to say the body, but just like again, like you said, she talks about how the way Cooper looks at
He
her.
looks at her. Right.
Her husband never even looked at her like that before. Like
Not
it's
once. And she said Cooper look at her like that every time. Okay. That's a bar. I'm just
mm,
saying. Every time.
it was for me. I think what made it so special, if I didn't love Cooper already, they're clearly cohabitating. They living together. They trying to work it out. She has a rough day. She's like looking through the photo album. She sees Alvo. She gets emotional. Cooper comes home. She runs in the shower. Cooper doesn't press her. She comes out and Cooper is talking. And then what I loved was Cooper was like, looking at the photo albums
Hmm.
with her, like not like and I felt like that signified like I am not trying to replace him. Like
Right.
I, if anything, I want to honor him. He's looking at them. He was like, y'all were a beautiful couple.
Asking questions, really like engaging her, helping her work through that process, giving her the space to feel and not being intimidated by that, like still wanting to be there. I don't think that they spared him any, like they just made him into the perfect guy in that way. Like it's insane how perfect they made him in that
But
way.
it also lends me to believe, like, I don't think Cooper's ever had love before, right? Like, we see his sister Ainsley. I really feel like I don't, and again, the way Cooper looks at her, I don't think Cooper's really experienced love. I feel like this short glimpse of the life that we have seen of Cooper, I feel like really is reflected of Cooper's whole life.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like where we're starting with some of these characters is hard to say, like what their background experiences are. But then when we're talking about love, there are different levels of love. So, like with Ariana, for instance, I'm sure she thought that she loved her husband. She did love her husband,
Absolutely.
but now this is just this different type of love that you're experiencing with Cooper that completely was out of nowhere, caught you off guard, and you cannot deny this love. So
But you're also
is there
mourning.
a thing of like people who you love versus like true love?
Mm.
So like, yes, I can fall in love with this person, but is this like my true love? Like when your true love comes around, like this other spirit you might be bound to in some type of way or form, is that just like transcends anything that you've ever experienced. So of course it would be like something new. And then you might, did you ever even really love all those other people? Like not on that level. So I don't know. I just think that's a hard question.
Mm. Yeah, no, for sure. And so to wrap up a lot of this series, Monty gets sick. He has a heart attack. Uh, and we have all of these projects on the line. Tommy gets called in. We get to see Demi more in action, and they are reading some things to Tommy, like, listen, hey, in the event that Monty goes under, he has said that he wants you to be in control of everything. Tommy's like, hey, the man is still fighting for his life in there. Like, I'd rather do this another time. The lawyer says,
No, no.
actually, he's incapacitated right now. So, like, we need to do this. And so, Tommy becomes the big kahuna of
The
everything.
president.
The president, he also hires Rebecca as the lawyer. And, Tommy has these decisions. Could he sell the land? Could they double down and continue this project, which could eventually make them millions and millions and millions and millions and millions more dollars? It could lose them. The one thing that I liked about Tommy was that, like, in this moment, Tommy could have just did whatever he wanted to do. He enlists, well, he essentially says, if I am going to be the president, I need Cammy, which is Demi Moore. I want her on my board. I want you on the board, and I want somebody from the oil on the board so that I just can't make these decisions. Right then and there, I said, okay, I like Tommy.
Yeah. And again, I just think that that speaks to his experience because remember, he was there before. He has a relationship with Monty and Cammy because they've known each other. Monty and him grew up together. So I do think that he wants to respect his wishes. And then before Monty became incapacitated, he, talked about this deal that he just did and how risky it was. And like, Tommy was like, I thought we didn't do that anymore. We didn't back these deals with our own money. Because I think he said it was like, what, like $800 million or something crazy like
Mm-hmm.
that. So I do like that he shows Cammy the respect of letting her have the final say. Like, listen, are we going to do this? We going to pull the trigger on this? So I think that they set this up really nicely for next season. Hopefully we get a next season.
Absolutely. But if you thought the ass whoopings were done, not nearly. Because Tommy still has not settled. So, and all while Tommy is now the president, he's now got to let Nate know that Nate has to work with Rebecca. Nate's not happy about that. Tommy has to make all of these new things, but still, there is the issue of the cartel. He's
Right.
never really settled the thing with the cartel. He's kind of like been sliding on ice with them. The the army blew something up. They called him and was like, "What was that all about?" And Tommy was like, "That's the least of your problems. More where that's coming from. Clean it up." So Tommy has one last run in with the cartel, and they pull him up, beat him down, bop, 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 bop. They getting ready to kill him because they're like, "You're not going to play with me." And listen, the person that they get to replace you, Tommy, will talk with him. Now remember, Tommy isn't dealing with the head of the
The head
cartel.
hit
Tommy is dealing with
another
his
Tommy.
level, right? Another Tommy. So what
Cartel
happens?
Tommy.
Cartel Tommy. What happens, Dara?
Well, Cartel Tommy, you already said they snatched him up. They got him. They beating him up. But Tommy has a high propensity of pain. We already know that, like from the beginning when what happened with his was that his pinky? He wound up just cutting
Mm-hmm.
his pinky off himself. Like Tommy is not built like everybody else is built. Tommy a little different. I got Tommy is a tough boy. He is one tough guy. But yes, they snatch him up, they're torturing him. They're about to kill him. And then right when they're about to kill him, boom, change of fate just happened. Change of fate happened. Enter the big head cartel guy, the cartel Monty of the cartel. And he came, he saved Tommy and wanted to set things right.
And he's saying, "I want to be your friend."
Let's work
Tommy like, what?
together.
Tommy like, "I don't want to work with you. The stuff that you selling, I'm good." Then the cartel boss is like, "Well, I want to learn more about what you're selling." And I was like, "That is interesting." I'm like, season two. Now, the last thing that I want to dive into before we close this out is Cooper, right? So we have these things where Tommy is now the boss. He is now
Yep.
has to clearly they've gone on with Camille's blessing, gone on to make this merger because Camille's like, "I don't want to just be sitting around living a life of luxury. Like, I kind of want to do what Monty would have done and double it, double or nothing." So now
Right.
Tommy is entering in this new realm. We've got this cartel worker that is saying, "I want to learn
Not
more about
not
what you're
worker.
doing."
We have a
I
cartel
mean,
boss.
the cartel
We have a
boss.
cartel boss. That's now this is another future relationship. We don't know which way that's going to
Right.
go.
What Tommy is clearly saying, "I don't want any parts of," because the cartel boss is saying, like, "Let's go back to where we just kind of like coexisted."
How we
But
coexist.
right, he's saying, "I want to learn more about what you're doing." Tommy's like, "No," but that leaves us question mark. Now let's also talk about Cooper real quick. Cooper, now that Cooper has come into money via Ariana and is living there,
Well,
he
Cooper
is,
hasn't come into money. He did not ask her for any money. I think it's important that you don't word it that way because
but
it just doesn't. Even though
but
we know that's not Coop's character, but he doesn't have money from Ariana. He that is for Ariana and her baby.
so
Coop is
how
the
is
go
he
getter.
So how is he approaching these people with this money to buy this land?
Well, he didn't have like a whole bunch of money. And keep in mind, these aren't poor people, right? We know that these are not poor people, but what he has is a business plan where like he's pooling money and funds from these different well people areas. I'm
That
using
lease
some of
their
your
land.
your
Right,
terms,
yes.
right? Right, to help him to afford to like keep going and do whatever it is he's trying to do. But the way he's doing it is like small increments, but building it up into like a big thing. A
Yeah.
majig.
Because Cooper has said from day one he wants to be a oil
A
tycoon,
oil
right?
man, right,
That's why he was starting as the worm to learn his way up. However, at this point in time, he got his behind beat a couple of times. He said, "I've learned enough." And
right,
Cooper has this idea that everyone leases land. Now, Monty owns the land, but there are other smaller landowners around.
right.
And Cooper believes that they're not drilling deep enough, which Tommy says. Because again, this essentially how Tommy revitalized that one well where they went deeper and to the side
Sideways,
and
right.
fracking. Cooper has that same idea.
And that's what he
And
wants to
so
do.
Cooper wants to take these older mines that are smaller, that don't produce as much, and he wants to like some type of way he has a model to he's figured out that, like, listen, you lease the land to me, I can bring this in, this can make you money, you make
And to
money, I'm
access the oil. Because
and
remember, these wells aren't, some of these people aren't even using wells at all. Like they're just sitting there. And he's like,
right.
well, there's still oil in here. I can access it. So he's going to each place, each place. So I really think they're setting Cooper up to be like a rival in the field
His dad.
with his dad, where that's going to come to a head eventually. So
Absolutely.
that's more to come.
And so that's Landman. And so we're left with a lot of different things. I definitely think Cammy, Tommy, and Cooper will definitely, and the cartel will definitely, some way, shape, or form, bump heads at some way.
Definitely.
And I think it's so interesting. And so that really is binging with Brice. Our
But before
first,
you
go
end
ahead.
the
Yeah.
Landman, can I just say one thing? Because I don't really think that you gave Angela and Ainsley's character just enough life. Let me just say
Okay.
that I liked the scene with the nursing home. I
Oh yeah,
think
I
that
did.
that
I
was
did.
very nice. I thought that that was so cute. And it was just
I
fun.
I agree. After Angela had left her $1 million, other multi-million dollar husband, and now living in Texas with her daughter Ainsley. Ainsley's been here. She needs something to do. She's tired of
Right.
dressing up in ball gowns and cooking dinner, and Tommy ain't never home, and it's only Nathan and Dale there eating. And
Okay.
so they go to a nursing home, and essentially they provide the activity for the nursing home. And at first, people are looking at them like they're crazy. Then, when they leave, the staff is like, "Can you please come back tomorrow?"
Come
They
back.
loved it,
They
and
love it.
so they end up taking the people in the nursing home out to a strip club. They just show interest, and like
Right.
you're right, that does humanize Angela's characters a lot. Angela specifically, where it's like she's unconventionally fun.
Exactly. The nursing home was cool. She got her Bentley. Like, if I'm leaving a relationship, I'm definitely going to make sure I have my Bentley. Not to mention free drinks at the country club. First of all, can you imagine you and I at the country club just having margaritas, bottomless margaritas? I feel like she's like
On
a lot of
Monty's
people's
tab.
spirit animal.
Yeah, but I wouldn't let my underage daughter drink, but that's
Well,
just
she's like
me.
eight. Well, she's 18.
My underage daughter drink alcohol.
I think kids in Italy, I think
Oh,
they drink wine at 13.
no, that is true. I mean, I believe that in Mexico you can drink at 18. So whatever. She is very unconventional. She's a lot, but she does have a caring heart. And so
There you go.
Angela has grown on me. I don't hate Angela,
Thank you. Give her
but
some life.
that's it. Well, I can't thank you enough, Dara, for joining me on our pioneer episode of Binging with Brice on Landman. Thank you so much. What were your thoughts? I know you were nervous going into this, but I feel like you killed it.
Yes, I was nervous. Definitely speaking with you, you make me more comfortable. It just feels, like we're just having a natural conversation. You make it easy. But yeah, I
Mm,
had fun just talking about the show. We love to just talk about our shows.
we don't always
So I look
agree.
forward to doing it again. Thank you.
Yes. So if you like this episode, please let us know in the comments. Tweet me right on the YouTube comments. DM me. Let me know. This will be once a month. I will bring you binging with Brice. Hopefully, Daryl will be back. We'll have some other guests as well. And I hope you've enjoyed this. Thank you so much, and especially thank you for tuning in for the celebration of the week of Brice. Make sure you are subscribed to the Purple Pants Podcast. We are available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you can find podcasts. The Purple Pants Podcast awaits for you to subscribe. Give your baby boy some 5 stars. Make sure you subscribe on the Brice Isaiah YouTube page. Click thumbs up. Give this video a comment. Let us know what you think of the link. And let us know what you think I should watch or I should binge next week. Not next week, but next month. Your baby boy is getting ready to head on the road for the Brice and Wynn Tour 48. We're going to 9 different cities. The tickets are available. The link in the Brice and Wynn Present Instagram bio. So I will see you on the road as I settle up to go on the road. But let us know in the comments if there's a show that you are watching that I need to binge while I am traveling. It would really be important so I could see what we're doing next month. Well, thank you again, Miss Dara Andrea. I greatly appreciate you joining me. And this has been
Hmm.
Binging with Brice. We'll see you soon.
It's the Purple Pants Podcast. You better listen in public, might make your stomach hurt. Ooh. It's the Purple Pants Podcast. You're trying to unwind, you better get that box wine. It's the Purple Pants Podcast. You're trying to get your snack, you better hurry right back though. It's the Purple Pants. It's the Purple Pants.